And we are back, this time for real, for our deciding Game 3. We are closing in on the end of the Dota 2 Asia Championships America Qualifier. Winner of this series has a date with Cloud9 in a best-of-5 grand finals. C9, as the winner bracket champions, will have a one-game advantage. But that said, they got to get through each other first. Fire and Complexity. Game 1 was a convincing beatdown from Complexity. Game 2, Fire struck back in a big way. One of the key heroes in that match was the Juggernaut, which got totally out of control for Ush. That's been banned here by Complexity, but what's been left in the pool is going to be this Fogged Lion, which has done so much work for them in the past. And with that said, of course, I'm LD, but I'm not alone.
Hello.
I have a friend here. His name's Merlini. How are you?
Looking at this draft, Complexity need, I think, a Centaur over the Puck. I think the Puck's been a trap for them, especially since Fire's been first phase picking Lion every single game and generally playing it very well. I think they need a tankier hero, and also Stampede's a great counter initiation to Blink Hex if you don't have 4 steps. So I think that they should not go for Puck this game.
Yeah, Puck seems like especially when the Lion supports are getting picked every game. It seems like it's struggling.
It's just not the blanket first pick like it used to be. You just be like, okay, well, we can put him mid, we can put him safe lane and aggro try, we can put him in the off lane. It doesn't really matter, but now it does, since he's actually a pretty big liability, and even when he gets his blink, he still dies very often. So I think there is a time and place for him, but
he's not like almost every game, if you don't know what else to pick Puck kind of hero.
Yeah, there's some heroes like that. Brewmaster, Viper, Venge, I think, are these just heroes you can. Tidehunter also, you can pick in any
There's
lineup.
Been a surprising lack of Tide, to be honest. The games where we've seen him, he's done pretty well.
Well, that's because they've been focusing on the Puck over it, which is
yeah.
So I think
just in general though, like a lot of the teams are ignoring Tide. It seems we
He's
saw it once
good.
yesterday from Fire.
He's still very good, I'd say. Not as good as Brew, but still definitely like top tier heroes in this patch.
So with the Witch Doctor support, again, Complexity have been favoring this. It had some big plays for them in Game 1.
5 seconds remaining.
We'll be looking for that hopefully again here from Z-Freak, but I wonder if we'll see Moon Meander as well stepping up. It seems like the story of this series is, in a lot of ways, just been support stepping up and making plays. Fog did it quite a bit in the previous series. They also used the Zeus ult really well in tandem with him, so combining with him. They'll go for the Zeus again here, Fire will. And in Game 1, a lot of it was Moon on the Disruptor, and Z-Freak, to some extent, the team fights on the Witch Doctor as well, who were the difference makers. And now it's a Zeus. So they get a lot of nuke damage here. There's still that Spectre out there in the pool, if they want to go for more of a hard carry for Ush.
10 seconds
The 7 through 15 minute has been really important for both of these teams. I generally thought it was a little bit later, but Complexity seems to short up that part of their game, and Fire sometimes doesn't take advantage of that window, which is when they like to get aggressive, and Complexity hasn't actually grouped up yet. So can they actually shut down the Lion, stop his blink dagger? I would like to see an aggro try from either of these teams. I think that Ush will struggle to farm under pressure. I think Lion will not be able to farm his blink if they have an aggro try, and I think that that's an option that both of these teams should consider, especially like Jug. Jug's a pretty level-dependent support too, although I guess it is pretty dangerous to try lane against him.
Yeah. We're going to see Complexity have their Disruptor banned out. So after the way Moon performed in Game 1, not something Fire want to let him get his hands on. Third ban to come out now for Complexity. They haven't seen a core Zeus yet, so they have every reason to believe this is a support duo. And with that in mind, probably go look to ban some cores here. There's a lot of hard carries out there for Ush. They might have their eyes on the Anti-Mage, the Void, the Slark. We've seen them on those. The Spectre, potentially. Maybe at least one of those come off the table. IX Mike hero still to be picked up. We saw the Spirit Breaker. Here comes the Ush ban out on the Anti-Mage. The X-Mike Spirit Breaker, I think, got banned 5th ban, or maybe it was 4th ban last game. But hasn't been a huge priority for Fire overall. But I know he loves the hero.
Complexity should take the Anti-Mage, I think. Especially with the Zeus and Lion on the table. I don't think they actually should ban it out.
5 seconds remaining.
Especially since they have the first pick coming into the second phase. I think it'd be much more useful for them.
Reserve time.
Wonder what they go for instead. Obviously, Void has really good synergy with Witch Doctor, so that may be something to look towards, but...
Yeah, he can also get blown up. I think you need a slightly tankier one.
Oh, there's a tankier one. It's the Spectre.
Radiant team banned.
Did a lot of work for Complexity when they took Game 1. Won't be on the in the cards for them this time around, so they'll have to change it up a bit. Hard carries in general, the main bans here. 2 out of the most recent 3 as we move along. Wonder if they go for
10
another Rush hero.
seconds remaining.
Main one that's standing out right now is probably that Slark or Void.
5 seconds.
I think Rubik would also be good for complexity too. The null field is actually a little underrated, I think,
Reserve
especially
time.
since they have so much magic. On top of that, there's some great spells to seal too. Zeus Bolt is okay. Zeus Ult is really good. Finger, Impale, pretty much any of Lion spells besides Mana Drain is great. I think, yeah, like we saw Slaughter just get blown up so much last game that I think they have to go for slightly like safer
Radiant
that's
team
not
heroes.
This hero is actually being played in D2L right now. I'm kind of sad I couldn't be watching that as well, but it seemed like Mag was running around a lot and making things happen. It's been a first phase ban pretty frequently in this particular qualifier, but I personally have actually yet to see him in the post-patch in a competitive game. Well, aside from the few minutes of detail I watched.
Darkness is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's
10
everything
seconds
is
remaining.
it just feels very claustrophobic when you play against Night Stalker
5
sometimes.
seconds remaining.
I feel like I just can't do anything.
Yeah. That's kind of how they want. It's like a good pudge almost, you know. Except even more terrifying in
Dire
some ways.
team pick.
Well, we were talking a lot about Fog's Blink Initiators, but it's Complexity here going to snag one here. They go for the Earthshaker. Heavy on the AoE and the team fight at this point.
They have to step up their game though. The supports last game on complexity, they weren't ever there to save the sniper, save the Slaughter. And
These supports should be there. Like Earthshaker
Yeah.
should
10
really never
seconds
be in a
remaining.
position where he can't get off a defensive fissure. It's just so damn long. And
5
Witch
Well,
Doctor, a
seconds.
good
it's not
defensive
a
support.
it's not a matter of positioning. It's a matter of timing. Like they blew people up in Blink and
Reserve
Palefinger
time.
Zeus Ult. That happens in less than a second, usually less than half a second.
Yeah.
Radiant
That's true.
team
There were a few
pick.
times where the Omni just wasn't ready for Sniper to get jumped as well, but
Mhm.
it's difficult to react. There's a similar level of burst from Fire this time, though. With the Nature's Prophet, Zeus, and Lion, you're not going to have very long to react.
So magic based. They can also go like a more push strat. They didn't group up at all last game, which I felt was a really big
10
problem
seconds
given the Omni
remaining.
Knight and the strength of repel. Omni Knight gets picked apart by strats that
seconds
go in
remaining.
packs of 2 or 3 because he can't repel 2 people at once. And it's a great team fight. You just
Reserve
repel the
time.
Slaughter. Everyone has a focus on him, and then you're actually useful. But that sort of game, like last game, where everyone just spread apart, is not very useful. So this game, they might get split push a little bit more, but at the same time, they have team fight, and they need to capitalize on it. So I think they should continue on with their draft more team fight, draft more push, and take the fight to Fire instead of waiting to get ganked and hoping to overcome them with farm. I think they need to outplay them with team fights at T1.
They go for the Viper, and
Dire
this
team
is
pick.
a very strong 4 or 5-man pushing style lineup thus far. They have a natural mech carrier now.
They should have banned Viper out. They banned the Anti-Mage, although it would have been good for complexity. And then they banned the
Drow
Disruptor,
Ranger.
but I think a lot of Disruptor was because of the
Radiant
Spectre
team
last game,
banned.
because Spectre Haunt gives them vision of all the heroes. So without the Spectre, they don't really have to worry about the Disruptor that much, especially given how squishy he is. So Fire actually going for the Drow. That's
They're looking very squishy
10
now.
seconds
yeah. I don't really like the Drow Ranger pick here.
remaining.
I think they need a
5
BKB
seconds
hero, and Drow is not your quintessential BKB hero. I think she actually does better if you can just build damage on her and not
Dire
actually
team back.
fight. But you can't really avoid fighting a Tide Hunter and an Earthshaker and a Viper.
Do you think we see the Troll here?
Troll would be nice, but I don't think they can really game that early, and no one else can really right-click besides Drow
10
and P
seconds
maybe a little
remaining.
bit. But
I'm just waiting for him to make his debut. I've been
5
hearing
seconds
things about him, but
remaining.
haven't seen him in quite a long time. Ever since the axe damage got nerfed.
Reserve time.
he also needs BKB too. Mm.
I'm honestly a little the Viper pick from Complexity it's not something they've been turning too much lately.
They should be. I think teams should always be utilizing Viper at some point. The hero is just insanely ridiculous and so good versus so many things, and he also wins his
really
lane.
good versus all this nuke damage though.
Yeah.
The corrosive skin. I think that's where he may shine the most this
Radiant
draft.
team pick.
Yeah, that's the thing about him. He's like good at shutting down most heroes in mid. Like he can shut down a sniper in mid very easily too. So yeah, it's a very safe pick too. You can't go really that wrong with a Viper pick. As much as I dislike the hero.
Not fun to lane against, that's for damn sure. What are we gonna see mid for Fire at this point?
10
Complexity
seconds remaining.
most likely gonna lay out their one position here for Swindle.
5 seconds remaining.
And as for Fire, they'll be looking for that mid.
They might go Invoker again. I think Invoker is nice for the AoE control. They can't purely rely on Lion and Drow Silence. I think that's a little weak compared to Tidehunter, Earthshaker, and even Witch Doctor cast I think is pretty strong, although they do have a lot of ranged heroes. What else could they do? They could technically run Zeus mid, but we haven't seen them run it any this series, so I doubt that will happen. Complexity, they need, safe laner most
Probably
likely?
Swindle's hero, yeah. Unless they want to run a one-position Viper, but generally Swindle seems to
10
get heroes that
seconds
scale better.
remaining.
Into
Usually you want a hero that can stick onto Drow Ranger, like a Bristleback or
5
Centaur,
seconds
Slark.
remaining.
All these heroes are really good versus Drow. Let's see what they go for.
So it is the Void in the end. Okay. Well, it actually was left out for a long time. Like, you see the Witch Doctor, a lot of AoE early. Void is a natural ban, but Fire were not afraid of it. They go for the Slark ban out instead.
Void's also mega squishy. Like, if he doesn't catch Zeus or Lion, which he's usually going to try and catch a Drow too, I guess Zeus, Lion, or Drow, he will easily die in the Chrono, unless there's like a huge
Until he has
Shaker.
BKB, he's gonna have to be careful with his jumps. That's for damn sure.
10 seconds remaining.
But they have a lot of other heroes who can initiate, so he doesn't always have to be the first one in.
5
At the same time, he's
seconds
really
remaining.
bad versus push. And Fire, they might just, pick a Chen right now
Wind
and
Ranger
then
at your service.
go for a push.
All right, the Wind Ranger comes out. This looks to be your mid hero for TC. They'll have the Drow Ranger, the IX Mike Nature's Prophet, and 5 ranged heroes. Granted, several of them not particularly adept at right-clicking.
It's a C9 draft.
I will say, the one cool thing about it is you run 5 ranged heroes against all these heroes that want you to clump. You're not particularly likely to clump. Yeah, you might catch 1, 2, maybe 3, but Void, Tidehunter, Earthshaker, unlikely to get those big 4 or 5 hero lockdowns.
But you also have all these heroes that aren't really good at team fighting, are pretty vulnerable to BKB rushdown, and don't really get BKBs themselves, and it could
10
be a pretty
seconds
tough
remaining.
game going past, I'd say, 35-40 even.
The call draft
5
just
seconds
it does feel a lot more robust. Like they could do decently in the laning stage and then just run away with it in the mid game. They could fall behind early, but then turn it when Fire tried to push high ground.
It's a hearty draft.
It's a hearty draft.
Has a lot of protein and meat and
It's healthy.
Whatever
Lots of
it
meat
may
and
be.
veggies, just the basics.
some seafood, some watermelon. Tidehunter fits both bills.
some flying manta ray.
He also has I think he has a wooden anchor. Is that a wooden
doesn't
anchor?
sound very
Okay, it looks like a
practical.
metal anchor. Well,
I don't think a wooden anchor would last very long. It's like a day.
yeah,
It's
I
rotted
guess.
and decaying.
I also think it floats.
Yeah, that's going to be a problem. I guess you can weigh it down a bit, but
But then it wouldn't be a wooden anchor. It would just be. I guess I don't know. I don't even know what that would be.
You're paused when we're talking about
Pure,
wooden anchor.
pure decoration, decorative anchor.
Decorative. That sounds like such a weird way to say the word.
Decorative.
I think it's decorative, isn't it?
I don't know. There's like decorum, so English is hard.
English is hard. Well, this is like the least intimidating cast of heroes I've ever seen. Like, you look at these 5, you compare them to what Complexity have, like, you got some badasses in here. Flying Manta Ray, gigantic, beefy Tidehunter, this, like, hammer-headed Shark Void. Then you look over at the side of Fire. Just a bunch of
You have Lord
bros and
of the
gals
Trees.
chilling.
Okay, Malfurion Stormrage is supposed to be a badass. Zeus is also supposed to be the god of high
Furion
heavens.
was a badass in Warcraft 3, but this is like a...
They're supposed to be
this
really
is like
scary.
a Prince of the Trees, like, nature-loving. He's all pink and bright and happy.
They need more. They need model reworks. Zeus is puny. He does not look like a Lord of the High Heavens. Lion does. He kind of looks like
He
a
looks
demon
like
spawn.
a midget Mario. Like, what is the Zeus model?
Yeah, it's a terrible model. Lion is a little bit too small too. He looks like an imp more than like a.
Yeah,
Like
he's too
witch.
short and squat. Like
Yeah,
he's-
he needs to
I
be
mean, I
like.
guess he's been doing his deadlifts, but
He could be like Doom.
maybe too many deadlifts for Lion.
He has a big ass hand.
You know what he needs? He needs the height extension. You know where they like lay you on the table and like stretch your legs.
Does that actually work? Is that a thing?
Leg lengthening. It's a really painful and terrible procedure that.
That sounds awful. Sounds like
I think
the.
it still actually happens, though it's not particularly common in some parts of Asia.
Isn't it like the foot thing? Too opposite of the foot thing.
Yeah, it's
That's
not fun.
Some weird.
You can read
stuff
about it on
going
Wikipedia. I spend too much time there, but I won't go into the gory details. For now, we'll get into Dota, as we are in pause, and we start things off with a man who stepped up in a big way in Game 1. It's Mr. Moon Meander. He's been transitioned into a support role for Complexity over the past few months. Hasn't really seemed that comfortable as a natural carry. Core player has been doing it for years, but he started to step his game up quite a bit there. Let's see if he keeps it up. He's got the Golden Totem. He's on the Earthshaker. Limp, sensational Clockwork in Game 1. Now going to be taking the Tidehunter into the offlane. Biver, who's had some very hot and cold moments in the past 2 days, will be the Viper mid, looking for an easy showdown here. And
His laning seems really weak, but his mid game is really strong.
yeah, if he can improve on the laning, he'd be pretty fearsome, actually. Well, hey, Viper should be a hero that's easy to dominate your lane with. Swindle going to be on the Void here. That leaves Z-Freak as the Witch Doctor, who loves to go for these little cheeky tree plays, wrap around casks and all kind of shenanigans. And then on the side of Fire, you've got the Stash himself, IX Mike as the offlane Nature's Prophet. TC, frankly a hero that I normally have found underwhelming. I think I've cast like 7 or 8 Wind Ranger games over the past 4 or 5 months, and I don't think I've seen a single one that the hero just took over a game. Let's see if TC can change that. Fog going to be playing your Lion, the biggest playmaker last game for Fire, and looking for that early blink to do it again. Ush, the safe lane Drow, and that does leave Mr. Fluff as the support Zeus.
It's unusual that he didn't go for the Wraith Band triple branch build that you'll see a lot of the
EE did this build yesterday with
double
the
circlet.
double circlet.
Yeah, I mean, I personally like the other build more. I think
Just a little more right click in the lane.
it's for everyone.
Yeah.
Times 5.
Every little bit of damage helps. I guess with the circlets you get a little more survivability, but he shouldn't really have to worry about pressure coming onto him at this
You
stage.
start off with the same amount of strength, though. You still have 5 strength with the other build. You just don't have your own regen, but that's what pooling is for. And I mean,
Well,
you're
they want to go boots
versatile.
first on Fog. I guess that's the big thing here. So he goes for that. Fluff,
He should.
pretty low on
He
regen
shouldn't take
already.
damage anyways from Tidehunter.
Yeah.
Or I guess technically it could have been a Void, but I mean, either one, he shouldn't be taking enough damage to warrant having to have more than just shared regen.
Well, Fog will certainly enjoy having those early boots. He's trying to go in on this Tidehunter a bit, but can't really keep Limp out of the lane, and they are getting their pulls off. That's the good news for Fire. Fluff gets off the first pull into the double-stacked small camp. They maybe want to try to pull it into the big camp even, but these creeps will mostly be dead. And not, at least in good news for them, they're not sending 2 supports running around after Limp early and gimping their own levels, but they're also not keeping him out of the lane. Whereas you look at this bottom lane right now, IX Mike has managed to hit level 2, but that's with Moon Meander off to some stacking in the jungle. So they're putting a lot less emphasis on this off lane. And as a result, IX Mike just trying to go for some harassment on Swindle Melon.
Well, he's also not able to block any of the spawns. 2 minutes comes by, and he doesn't control bottom rune, doesn't control any of those 2 spawns, and he also doesn't have any vision. So he's in a very, very dangerous position.
And he's not getting a ton of levels either. Swindle's going to time walk it. No bashes for him. He's still going to commit to this. They fissure. I think Moon Meander's saying we could kill him here, but now that Swindle's decided to wait and then go back in, it's not going to happen. If they all just committed heavily, it would have been a first blood.
Yeah, he has a poor man shield too, so.
Yeah, because of that, he's been just taking harassment all over the place for Mike and not really bothered by it. Fog just going to make his way a little jaunt around. It's level 2 now. Is he trying to go on this Viper? Man, that is not an easy kill. Maybe going for the courier snipe, but it looks like he'll be late. Nature's Prophet dropping low in the bottom lane, not quite finished off. Perhaps they wanted to get vision so he could go and snipe it, but at this HP level, that's not going to happen for Mike.
So who is winning the CS war? Looks like Windranger is dominating mid at 18-5. I don't think that should be happening versus Viper, but it is. And then safe lane, Drow, 18 CS versus 17 on the Faceless Void.
It's kind of, you know, you're talking about Biver and the laning being his weak point, but it's really been the opposite for TC, where his laning the past 2 days have been extremely impressive. He's won the lane almost every matchup, and it's often just in the mid game where, partially due to the heroes he's getting and somewhat due to decision making, just not having the impact. But Windranger, it all comes down to just, are you hitting the big shackles at the right time, actually making plays with the hero. Can't really AFK your farm your way to victory on her.
Limp, forced to go to the jungle. No surprise there on the Tidehunter. Especially versus a few range.
Good news is they've got a nice stack here for him. So, he's still getting good levels. Ancient's not being stacked up yet. They wanted to go for the easier camps for now, and he's about to get level 3, at which point this will get a lot easier.
But Mike's level 4.5 after the botched gank.
Yeah, they ended up giving him a lot of experience when that wave pushed in heavily. And the farm is good for Fire here. Both teams farming reasonably evenly in mid and safe lane. Support levels a little bit better. Actually, no, about even. The Earthshaker a bit farther behind, but the Witch Doctor ahead of Fire.
Looks like they're looking to make a move up top. They already have an aggressive observer ward placed below the secret shop, and there is no one in sight defending this tower.
This might be a freebie. Taking just the tier 1 this early will also give a lot of experience to this Tide. Let's see if they're going to commit for the push. They will. They'll bring in Fogged, and their Drow Ranger not even level 6 just yet, so the push is not particularly quick. They're rotating in Moon. They're going to get eyes on him, and the pings come out, but Fog won't have much backup, and Moon heads to the south. He doesn't try to walk in from the tree line. He gets harassed a little bit, but that's all. Keeping him off the tower for now. Fluff taking some shots. But Moon will finagle his way in, and this tower will not fall. And they're committing a lot for this. Trying to go in once again. They're going to drop down a Sentry Ward as Fog is forced back. No. Tower, and it's going to be in deny range, and now they bring in their Faceless Void here. This could be trouble. Chronosphere onto Ush, and focusing on him with the support of the Witch Doctor. There's no cask any longer. They're going to need just one bash, maybe even not. Time Walk coming through. Good Impale from Fog. One more auto tech, gets the kill as the power shot connects on 2. Shackle not going to connect, so first blood to Complexity, and now can just post up on Fog. He's going to get a second kill. Already Swindle pulling the double out of the hat, only losing the Witch Doctor. Now the Earthshaker to fall as well. Still 2 for 2, but the Drow Ranger going down. That's the big prize, and Swindle getting the double kill on top of it. Tower
has fallen.
does end up going down. It was last hit by IX Mike. So they do at least get the tower.
And it's a straight Orchid rush for him. That's pretty unusual. Usually you'll see Midas or Blade or something before the Orchid.
We saw Shadow Blade first yesterday, and then back into an Orchid from Bone 7, I believe it was.
I mean, I think Orchid's decent. It's just, it makes you very, very squishy. Super squishy. Especially versus their lineup. You don't want to just die in a Chronosphere.
The silence is going to be pretty potent in this game. Just Orchid the Tide, ignore him, force the Void to get an earlier BKB than what he would like. Shut down the Earthshaker. Could work very well in tandem with the Zeus.
Yeah, but at the same time, if you do not, then Tidehunter will just own you.
And if you're not finding those mid-game kills, so you go into the late game, you're going to be a bit behind in terms of farm. Your team won't have quite as much split push and map control as some other items. So it definitely is a trade-off.
I mean, to be honest, I think like a mech verse might be better for Mike this game. It depends on what they're trying to do. I'd expect with a Drow Ranger, they're looking to take a lot of early towers and, you know, do Roshan early, typical Drow things.
Yeah, the Drow power curve is normally like you want to be on the verge of ending the game by around 25-30 minutes if possible.
Typically, yes.
If not ending the game, then being able to like choke them out, basically. which so far, very early, but with Swindle getting a good start, he's going to go back for what looks to be a Battle Fury. Picks up his Rain of Health.
To be honest, I think it's a little greedy.
We saw one Battle Fury Void yesterday. That was Ush, and he was insanely fat. Uh-oh. Aestrin going to be snagged here, but it's going the way of Moon Meander as Fog gets off. He barely gets zapped down. It's a double kill. They actually lost their Tidehunter off in the woods as well. Oh, that's costly. He just wanted to jungle, and you got him killed. Moon Meander doing his buddy limp in with that. There's been quite a few Zeus, like 2 for the price of 1 specials today. Unexpected bonus kills. That's the second time we've seen it now.
Yep, Drow will pick up Mask of Madness now. I kind of like the... Yeah, like a Midas into Mask of Madness for Faceless Void, like into a BKB. I think that sort of build would be best, just because if he initiates on Drow with BKB, there's nothing they can do to stop him. And there's no way that Drow can right-click him down with being BKB'd in his face.
Fluff and stuff is suddenly on a dominating streak. Picks up another kill. He's got the max lightning bolt out, and this is a very potent start for the Zeus. Yeah, the Battle Fury build we saw last game, I feel like it could have worked for Ush. Like, the issue that game just seemed like they never once executed a good team fight. So, at least in that game, it didn't seem like the build cost them the game, but at the same time, he was also very quiet for most of it.
Well, in that sort of game, too, you're not worried about the game ending in 25. In this game, you are.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think Battle Fury is a little bit too slow.
If you get the Battle Fury and then you get like your Mask of Madness and they haven't managed to punish that window, then you're in really good shape. But there is that window where
that's
you don't
assuming your opponents don't know when to hit, though.
Yeah. Which sometimes does happen. Bottom lane, trying to catch out Swindle here. Fluff has the lightning bolt, but not quite in time. 1 second to go as the TP out completes. They are just... It's where Fire seem to be at their best. When they just run around the map, 1 or 2... man groups, finding pickoffs with global spells and not letting Complexity take any larger scale engagements, not letting them be organized. It feels like the more chaotic the game is, the better it seems to be for Fire in general.
We've seen no Ravages and I think 1 Chronosphere, and we've seen 2 Zeus ults already, and the support is supposed to be, a little bit underleveled compared to other 2.
The rate it's going. That Fog Blink might be fairly timely. He saps Moomiander from long range. Oh my goodness, this is just getting ugly. The supports on Fire now, 5-0 and 1 on your Zeus, 1-1 and 3 on Fog. They combined 6-1 and 4 already. Only 11 minutes in. And with that kill, he's got 1,600 gold. And they're going to try and go for a Roche, perhaps. Mike TP's into the pit. Can actually do this. And with the Drow, they can. They'll bring her in as well. Ush just walking right through, and they don't have vision.
Yeah, Zeus already cleared out the wards right before.
Nobody really in position. This is pretty much your ideal start. You run this kind of draft by Fire. They did have the 1 miscue top lane, but they're taking Roche. They got the early tier 1. Drow's got her core items. Prophet on track for a very timely first item, which in this case is the Orchid. TC about to complete his Maelstrom.
Oh, they gathered up for smoke, but it was right under the eyes of the Observer Ward.
That is very unfortunate. And to make matters worse, they're too late anyway. Roche already claimed by Fire. This looks good for them, Ben. They're up 7.5k gold, 4k experience. They are fighting into the massive wombo combo.
Uh-oh, Ush is mid. They had to have seen the smoke, but there's no one behind him.
Were they not? Maybe they weren't watching. I guess it's possible. Mistakes happen, but that's a pretty hefty one. As Ush will head to the south, he gets off a really nice gust and able to retreat. In fact, he turns, looks to fight, but he'll be brought down once. Doing it a second time, not so easy though. Limp gonna throw out the Ravage as the power shot comes through from distance. TC connects. Still though, there's a Chronosphere here along with the Death Ward, but it's inside of the Chronosphere. Doesn't really get much done. Swindle Melons ends up getting zapped repeatedly. Some backtracks, not enough though. And they just committed everything. Chrono's down, Ravage is down, Death Ward's down, and Fire are now going to be ready to get super aggressive and take some towers.
Imagine if they were just a tiny bit quicker to react with the Lion and or the Wind Ranger. If they were there as they were charging up the hill to kill Drow Ranger, they would have gotten massacred at that fight.
Yeah, they also have to be careful with the ward placement as well. right? Does that still work inside of Chronosphere? I think it got changed the last patch, right?
Uh,
Ward unit types are
yes.
no longer able to attack while inside the Chronosphere.
It did get changed.
Because it looked like it wasn't doing
Radiant's
anything,
top
so...
tower is under
At this
attack.
point, it's probably their biggest source of damage. The Void isn't that farmed yet. No,
Radiant
just the Battle Fury
structures
nearly
are
complete, but
fortified.
his effective DPS is going to be quite low unless he's getting a lot of cleaves compared to like the attack speed build. TC will take this tower. Tier 2 down top lane.
Radiant's top tower
Fiver
has been
chasing out
denied.
Ush and TC. And meanwhile mid, another move from Fog. The blink's revealed. Every time you turn around, this guy's just making kills. And he goes in for more. On to Z-Freak. TC in position for the Shackle. Nope. Can't get off. Throws out the power shot. Shackle the other direction. Then they bolt down the tide. Complexity getting run over, and they're not done yet. TC looking for more. One more auto tech. Kill secured. He's hitting for almost 200 a pop already with the Maelstrom.
Attack.
And that's not even factoring in Focus Fire. This is feeling almost out of reach already for Complexity.
Drow Ranger too strong.
Radiant's middle
We
tower
weren't sure
is
how well the
falling.
Drow pick would work, but it has been incredibly successful for them.
I mean, they've only used one Ravage this game, and it was only to kill the Aegis. And that's 14 minutes in.
And it was a very defensive Ravage. Like they added the Chronosphere and then tried to go for kills, but they were all just running for their lives up until that Void showed up. Well, Swindle Melons, it's going to put a lot of weight on his shoulders. Going for the Battle Fury build, not dominating this stage of the game means he'll have to step it up later, but what won't help him is Fogged wrapping around. Going to find him here with the quick Hex. Now looking to go with the Impale. Drow going to join this as well. Gus him, and another kill. Battle Fury delayed. Map control thoroughly in Fire's favor. Wards up over on the hill. Down here in the jungle. Heroes infesting their Radiant Woods, and not good at all for the Complexity fans.
Fog has taken complete control once again. I think it's mostly Fog. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's getting solo kills.
Yeah,
Non-stop.
Fluff's gotten a bunch of kills, but, you know, it's Zeus. It's just a matter of throwing your nukes at people. And he's had a timely ultimate. Yeah, the coordination between them has been really good, though. Like, you look at last game,
Radiant's
or,
bottom tower is under attack.
yeah, where Fog would, like, blink, impale, finger, and, like, as he's doing that, exact moment that it happened, the Zeus immediately
Radiant's
ults.
bottom tower
So their
has
coordination has
fallen.
been on point in these smaller scale skirmishes.
But can they break high ground? If they extend a little bit too far, they get Fissure blocked in. They get isolated. If they go up and help, they'll get chronoed and ravaged. So the struggle to get up high ground will probably end once they get the second Aegis. But even then, it's a risky proposition, especially if Earthshaker has Blink. But it looks like he has gone for Tranquil Soul and 17 gold in his bank. That's a sad bank account.
That is a sad thing.
Rocking the double digits.
Well, Swindle Melons. It's shackled now, and they go in again. The bolt's coming out. Fingers about to cool down. Not even needed. Just clinical executions by Fire.
And now they had to cancel the TP onto Earthshaker. That buys him so much time. Look at where he has to walk from.
Radiant's bottom tower
Power
is
Shot's
under
also going to
attack.
scout out Limp here. They have no blink on the tide, so he has to walk in, which means with the Void not able to buy back, they can't really do anything to initiate this fight. They're just going to have to take it in the mouth. The push continues in earnest. They still have yet to get a tier 1, by the way.
Radiant's bottom tower
They were
is
trying to
fallen.
push something top lane, but that's not going to happen. And again, Fog leaps in. He finds the Impale Finger of Death combination, and now Biver could well be next. Shackled to the trees. The Tide will buy back. The Void is respawning. This has got to be their best hope of forcing a fight. Void TPing in. That Chronosphere coming. He doesn't really get a good one. In fact, it's awful. Doesn't even catch Ush out, who's right outside of it. They followed up with a Ravage. Also not the best. And that's the two big ults down. They've only managed to kill off a Drow Ranger, which fortunately ends the push, but means Fire just want to go heal up and come right back down bottom. They now don't have to worry about any ults, and they also don't have to worry about a tier 3, which is now done. And you can tell Complexity, they need more out of this buyback, and they're going to try to find it here on Fog. He sticks around a bit too long. He gets off the Hex, but there's no running from Swindle, and Swindle gets a much-needed kill. Still, costly defense for Complexity.
The hardest part is breaking the T3. Once the T3 is already down, it's much safer for them to go up the hill, and they can all kind of stand around there without getting caught by a 5-man Chrono, being separated by Fissure, getting caught by a 5-man Ravage, and the worst is over now. All they need to do, get another Roshan, kill Void a couple more times, and Complexity should be in that irrecoverable failure sort of situation.
And just looking at the net worth chart really tells the story of the game. Up until a moment ago, 5 of the top 6 heroes were all on the side of Fire. That's a when you know you're in trouble kind of situation. TC on the move, though. He's got a Blink Dagger, Power Shot gonna fish. Not actually gonna find anyone, and he continues to move onwards towards Swindle. He has eyes on him now, just committing everything he has, and he gets the Shackle, too, with the follow from the Mic Silence. They burst him down. With the Zeus ulti, no hesitation by Fluff. Now Wicked 6, 7, 0, and 7. This is just an ideal Zeus game. Getting ahead like this early, up against no BKBs as of yet. And it is really starting to feel like this Battle Fury is just not going to end up paying off. Constantly getting picked off, not even able to use it to farm, and now going to have to fight head on. Time for farming is about to be over, at least as far as Fire is concerned. They're looking to break base. There is
Top tower is
no
under
Void buyback, no Ravage yet. It's coming in 30 seconds, but in 30 seconds, this entire bottom lane is gone. Possibly they could even go for more. Witch Doctor don't use just to zone, but now the silence comes out, the gust, forcing Viper back with some frost arrows. Ush will not commit too much further, but he just turns around onto the racks. Now Viper striking him. They get another Shackle. Nicely done by TC. Chrono is there, though. Catches out 2. Both of the heroes that are low. Ush will fall to this Complexity holding the line. Fog going to be the 3rd man down. And now they chase onwards. Fluff. Force Staff is available. Let's see if he's going to use it. Under the trees he tries to go. Then tries to Force Staff up the cliff. But you can't do that. He gets caught out. Ends up going down. It's a 4 for nil exchange there, Ben.
Oh, Nature's Prophet also going for the Mask of Madness. I still contend that the mech would have been really, really good for them. Although I guess Tidehunter would have just followed up with Ravage, and surprised that they didn't wait for the next Roshan. It's just 1 minute away from respawning right now, and now they've given Complexity a lot more back than they should have. Gold lead back down around 10,000, but they did get the melee wrecked, but even that was kind of a stroke of luck. It was 50 HP left with 4 Treants beating on it.
That was a 6,000 gold swing? 5,000 gold swing? One more bad fight like that, and this is a pretty even game. At which point, the other thing you're going to have to worry about is what comes of that. Swindle Melons could have his BKB by then. At that point, the Void becomes much more difficult to deal with. Tidehunter does have Blink now, and working towards the Force. He didn't even have the Blink for that first high ground defense. Z-Freak almost has an Ags. 700 gold short. They lose 1, maybe 2 more fights like that, and suddenly this is Complexity's game. They got to be careful.
Nice Chronos by Swindles, too.
Yeah, the first one was on bottom was not great, but
they still got the draw.
That's true. But the second one was really on point. And it's against 5 ranged heroes with a lot of mobility. Not easy to catch them out. Double Blink Daggers, Force Staff as well, Mask of Madnesses for the extra move speed. You jump in and airballing a Chrono is not out of the realm of possibility entirely, as we've seen. But they will take the road now. So Fire, they're going to have another fresh Aegis to work with. Still no BKB yet on Ush, though he's working towards it as Fog just lurks, waiting for these pick-off opportunities. Does he try and make a play here? No, he's going to end up just blinking back. So do you go now? Do you wait for anything if you're Fire?
Well, they could wait for a BKB on Drow, so she doesn't get owned by Ravage. She's gonna die in a Chrono. Like, I don't really think there's a way around it unless they, like, as he's time walking in, she turns around and she gets double forced or something like that. But
if they get some miraculous, like, Shackle or Hex Impale inside of the Chrono, maybe, but generally those have already been used up at that point. And it's just tough to line them up. And soon there will be a BKB. Witch Doctor Ags now complete, so Complexity still with the superior team fight combo. It's it's forcing Fire to spread the map. You can tell they're not nearly as confident as they were just a few minutes ago. Close to knocking down this base, but not having fully done it yet. Just the 1 melee taken doesn't seem good enough against the kind of late game Complexity has.
also, they can't really split push either. They'll just commit a Faceless Void ult onto whatever hero split pushes. Because Drow doesn't have a blink. I guess maybe Wind Ranger can do it, but she doesn't do that much damage to towers.
Yeah, you've got Focus Fire, but she went for Maelstrom, Blink, now going for Ags. We're gonna see the Wind Ranger Ags in play. Have you experimented with this much?
Yeah, I've seen it a lot with Maelstrom. It does a surprising amount of damage compared to what you saw before on Wind Ranger with Ags, which was
Radiant's
minimal
top
damage.
tower is under attack.
Yeah, it did not feel like a very valuable pickup in the past. Let's see if TC can make the right-click Wind Ranger work. He's got the Drow Ranger aiding him as well. Still sitting near that 200 damage mark per right-click before reduction and all that. But it's basically a turtle session now for Complexity. Just hang out in the base. Don't really take any risks. Don't overcommit.
TC almost got a free tower, or a free Rex, though.
Comes out onto Biver. Then the finger follows this up. Power shot pierces through the heart of the Manta Ray, getting the kill. At the same time, Ush takes a few pot shots top, and they are very slowly but carefully trying to finesse their way into these racks.
Radiant's
Unfortunately, when you try to be cute, Void is there with the answer. Gets the Chrono off, gets the kill once. They can go for a Ravage here for round 2. There's no BKB yet on Drow. If they want to Ravage, that's an option. Prophet will come in, get off the Silence on Limp, then the 2-hero Shackle from TC. What a play! But is there follow-up to deal with this? Time walk out from the Void. They're all going to retreat. Still holding that Ravage. Cast bouncing. Witch Doctor ults there. Then the Echo. The Ravage really not needed. That was some overkill. Wanted to get TC with it as well. But in the meantime, Ush is over in mid. He's forced out a Glyph. He's brought this tower down to half. These teams really making for a tense mid game here. Plexi are starting to get that extra gold and experience, but is it coming quickly enough to make up for how fast their base is crumbling? Tough to say.
It is a really tough defense for them. It'd be a lot easier if they had Earthshaker, so they wouldn't have to use Chrono. But he hasn't really been able to get any good initiations. But that's exactly what they need for the Drow. Just blink on with Fates' Void,
And that's
blink
with the
Echo.
Aegis as well.
Yes. Use Chrono for one, use Echo for the other, and then save Ravage for all the other people. I guess technically they could probably just kill with Viper Strike, but the problem is it's not going to be quick enough if they do that.
And they really need to win these fights quickly, because if they don't, then Fire may lose a couple bodies, but still take another racks. Your one melee racks down, that's definitely doable. You go down 2 or 3 against a Drow Prophet, they might just be able to rat you to death. So, they're going to let them get to the base, and this is where Fire, they know. Right now the Chronos here is still cooling down for 15 seconds. The Ravage for 70. No big ultis ready to defend this. And while they're going in that side of the map, Ush is getting caught up mid. It's Moomiander who gets the jump, but Fog turns it. The 2-hero Impale keeps his Drow Ranger alive. Just by the very skin of her teeth, Fogs will end up paying, but he sacrificed himself for the greater good. This now forces out a Void buyback, and now Fire, now they want to retreat. Chrono's ready though. Swindle's gonna find 2, barely missing on the 3rd, and will bring down Ike's Mike probably. Maybe not. Another Shackle from TC. Fluff trying to retreat out, can't do it, gets caught out and finished off. Will they get Mike? Yes, they will. 3 dead. They do end up holding the line. Mid not pushed in. They lost the Ranger X bottom a bit earlier, but it's still so tense.
And, I mean, that was a fantastic play by Fog right there, saving his Drow Ranger. And she now has BKB. They also have a BKB on Nature's Prophet, so they're doing okay in that department. And next Roche will be coming soon. But after that, I don't know. Complexity is getting rather strong, although one more Faces Void, death is almost game.
He had to buy back there, and because of that, he should have had this BKB. By now, he doesn't. Doesn't have Chronos here either. He may look to go on Limp, but he has Ravage. He could Gush TC, he will. They follow this up. Viper Strike, Time Walk in. TC expecting a little bit more support. Didn't get it.
He also had his blink up. He wasn't expecting the Gush.
And the long range initiation. Getting them yet another kill. These are freebies that cost Fire dearly. Buying time for the big ultimates to cool down. Letting them take a tower. Can they get the trade? Fogged. If they can get this Swindle Melon kill, would well be worth it. And they play it as close as possible with the finger coming out. Just waits until the last second of that Hex wearing off to Impale. Again, it seems it's just always Fogged making these plays. And they're going to need more of it, because he, at this point, is their primary initiator and source of actual kill potential. With the quick bursts. Not something the Wind Ranger or the Drow can really bring you.
And Swindles is down. 5 minutes left on his buyback. And he's down for a whopping 50 seconds. Oh, they're smoking. They're actually trying to kill Mike.
He's going to BKB and try to run his way out of here. He hesitates a little bit, turns around to drop the ultimate, then scurries into the tree, self-sprouts, and will TP out, but this gives them time to scramble the backstab as they work their way in. There's a Ravage ready. There's a Witch Doctor online.
There's also Ush pushing mid. He got the T3 for free. Or will he?
Denied. Nope. Creeps get it. At the same time, on the top side of the map, it's Fog caught out. Well, who's caught whom, actually? He catches out Z-Freak. Z-Freak goes down.
Moon Meander was very stingy with his echo. He didn't echo the Nature's Prophet. My ex-Mike would have died easily there.
This does almost buy them time for the Void to respawn. But with that dieback that he just had, he did complete his BKB, and good news. Finally, he's got it down. All hands on the knife's edge here. The loser of this match eliminated, does not go to the Mini International, the Dota 2 Asia Championships. The winner, a best of 5 versus Cloud9 away from taking that trip. All expenses paid, guaranteed prize money. Possibly the most prestigious event before TI5. Certainly on the short list. It would really hurt to come this close and fall short. And Fire, coming into this match, looked like the favorites. Have the lead, but can they close it out?
It's only 4x separating them from victory. I mean, they have a Nature's Prophet too, which means that Complexity can't really leave their base that far. Maybe, yeah, they're just refined to that quadrant. We all know that quadrant too well.
That's the we lost quadrant. When the map feels like it's about this big, 9 times out of 10 you go on to lose that game. But this is the kind of lineup that can be the 1 out of 10. Witch Doctor, Void, Tidehunter. Swindle is not terribly far off of the ultra late game Void status. Refresher, the main item he's lacking. 1 more damage item after that. You lose a fight or two. They finally start getting towers, which, by the way, they still only have 1. So great job by Fire there, keeping them out. Then things change. But what doesn't help is when they try to push in mid and then the creeps descend on the bottom lane. So they have to back off and deal with the infestation. They just can't really get out of the base.
They shouldn't be able to. Not with Fire's lineup. They can always activate Precision Aura to push in the side lanes too.
Yeah, and they've been doing a good job of keeping these lanes in. TC, he did get caught out top, but in general has just been playing it by the edge and just ensuring he gets off that 1 extra power shot to push in a lane a bit farther. You constantly see Complexity just having to react to these movements. Uh-oh. Fog jumps in, then Moon Meander blinks forward, gets off the Echo Slam. It was actually kind of an awkward situation. Moon was ready to go from this way, and then the Lion blinked past him, almost getting the jump. And then Moon, with the quick thinking, says, you know what, I need to blink Echo this or my Void might die, and he ends up pulling it off. Good save there. Finally, Fog is thwarted. And now Fluff may also go down. Both supports of Fire getting caught out, picked off. And they're looking for a 3rd kill here. Time Walk available. BKB is ready. The Chrono will come out as well. And IX Mike just gets wailed on by Swindle. Do they lose more here? TC trying to find the kill, gets Moon Meander. He's going to turn and duke it out with Swindle Melons, who has no Chronosphere, has no MKB, is losing the man. Well, not even a man fight. The Ginger's having her way with the Void, and TC needs some backup just to make his way out. Swindle Melons, well, rather, needs some backup just to make his way out against TC. Without an MKB, this Void is going to have a lot of problems dealing with her. Uh-oh. Fingered after a shackle shot, but fortunately not quite enough damage. Now it is. Boom shakalaka from TC. Big snipe there. Takes down Swindle.
Roshan is up with the cheese. That should be the finishing blow for Complexity. They've been managing to hold it in quite well, but again, that was what their lineup was all about. Those 5-on-5 fights where Fire's clumped. Mike will actually buy it back for this.
It really feels like Swindle's just dying a bit too much at this point. The way the game's developing, it seems like he has to be ultra fat, ideally with the double chrono, to hold the base. The way this is going, it just doesn't look like he's going to get to farm it in time. Not 100% out of this yet. They will have the Earthshaker ultimate in 15. The chrono will be up by the time that Fire gets to their base, but you now have run out of room for mistakes if you're Complexity. Void has to buy back again. he's going to be like 2 items down. And they are going to have to fight soon. Fire push in the mid lane. They'll go farm the enemy Ancients. Looks like they're not quite ready for the high ground breach just yet. Uh-oh. Is it dunking time? Moon's ready to dunk. Force staff himself forward. Goes in onto Mike, gets off the Echo, now follows up with the Fissure, slams it home with the big totem. Well played there. Got off that initial extra enchant totem before the jump, ensuring he does as much damage as possible, and goes for the big solo kill plays. Well played.
Mike doesn't have buyback, but Complexity still kind of trapped in their quadrant of the map, although expanding their territory a little bit, just slightly to the river. And Fire, no Necrobooks really. They can only siege with Manta Illusions and Nature's Prophet, but oh, it looks like they might actually be going for a YOLO push in the mid lane.
5 down the mid. Swindle Melons joining his team. They're going to Zeus ult to try and slow this. They did manage to find Moon on the backside. Fogged as well as Fluff running into him. Moon took that southern route, did not stick with his team as they pushed down mid. Ends up getting picked off. And Creeps pushing about him. They finally get their second tower of the game at 33 minutes. And that is some desperately needed income, but it comes at a
freaks
price.
out by himself.
He is way out on his own, but he'll pop his Shadow Amulet, and they've got no real way to deal with this as the Void comes in. BKBs, but just gets destroyed by TC. Nearly finished off. Can they turn this with a Death Ward? No, it's inside of the Chronosphere. It does nothing. See, Freak. Oh my goodness, this is just not going well. This combo, not what it used to be. As TC now lurches in, the Void's down, the Tide's down, everybody's down. 3 heroes have buyback. They might have to use all 3. Earthshaker actually going to respawn soon. Fire can smell it. They can taste it. They're close to a rematch here with Cloud9. And one last shot at going to China. But they'll have to fight their way through Complexity first. On to IX Mike, they jump, but the Impale's there. Nice counter initiation from Fog. Now, Swindle Melon's going to die back. Your Tide Hunter also going to die back, and that just about does it. The nail's going into the coffin now. Complexity will not be going to the Dota 2 Asia Championships, and it's only Fire that stands between Cloud9 and their trip there. America coming down to the grand finals now.
Was that a successful enough win ranger for you?
Yes, that was impressive.
That was nice. Good versus Void. Good versus Viper too.
Yeah, it used to be pretty bad versus Void, but ever since Evasion stopped being
that was so awful. Very well played by Fire. They went with the same opener, Zeus Lion, and completely switched strats too. It's also a nice ace up their sleeve. Although, let's see what they have prepared for Cloud9.
Yeah, and of course Cloud9 should be prepared. They've been sitting back watching these games, and they'll be looking to win the America Qualifier. Guys, this concludes your lower bracket finals in this best of 3. It is Fire who prevail, 2-1, taking down their old namesake, Complexity. Now, they have a date with Cloud9. That will be a best of 5 grand finals, 1 game advantage to Cloud9 coming from the winner's bracket, and it all begins after this. Thank you for watching Beyond the Summit. Be sure to follow Merlini at Merlini Dota, myself at LD Dota, and at Beyond the Summit, just to stay in tune with all the upcoming Dota 2 Asia Championship news, information, and more. We will be right back with that grand finals. Stay tuned.